Hi, this is Lisa Kelly, Notre Dame author and class of 1993, and you are watching the Two Irish Brothers show. Cheers and go Irish!
How's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
And I am Irish Benjamin 57.
And as always, well, Ben said welcome, but I'm going to say my line anyway because I love saying it. As always, Ben and I make up the Two Irish Brothers. Before we get into business, two quick things. For starters, thank you to everybody who has given your support on the 2021 season pump-up video that I made for Ben and I's channel here. It's unbelievable. 2,000 views in 3 days. Awesome. So
we're excited, man.
It's great. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but that's some of my best work. I put a lot of heart and soul into that. And I can't thank you guys enough for watching it. And Ben likewise, because this represents him as well. Spread it around, keep it flowing. We love the view traffic. And very, very briefly on this one, to the guy who goes by the screen name Tar Heel, the offer still stands, dude. If you want, instead of talking down to us here on our channel and other videos, we are more than happy to debate you on the things that you were questioning me on and talking down to me on. So that offer still stands. So enough with that. Ben, let's get right into business. We are 2 weeks away from tonight. We will be watching Notre Dame football.
Yep, and 1 week away from college football. So,
well, yes, in general, yes. The season starts next week.
Things are getting exciting. I mean, yeah, we've had some preseason, NFL action going on, but those don't count for anything. Those don't get you any closer to the big dance in the Super Bowl. But next week, things start getting real. So,
the games count.
Especially for me and Sean. I mean, we both live in the state of Illinois, so starting week 0, as they call it, week 0. The Fighting Illini here in our neck of the woods is taking on Nebraska, so that starts off the season. So there's a little bit of quote unquote magic in the Illinois air right now. So we wish them nothing but the best. We're not fans of them, but we wish them nothing but the best since they are in our home state.
Well, and not to mention Illinois high school football kicks off next week. The teams all had their scrimmages this weekend, and the season gets underway next week. My alma mater, Geneseo, they take on, I believe, Chicago Noble for their first game of the 2021 campaign. But we're here to talk Notre Dame football, and they kick off in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that first game, and we did this last year. Myself, before this, I never really used to do a full season preview, but that's what we're going to do for you guys here. So we're going to take it one game at a time. So Ben, that first game, the night before Labor Day,
it's a dandy.
It's a dandy. It's a very emotional game too, because the great Bobby Bowden, as we all know, just recently passed away. Yep. But the Irish travel to Tallahassee to take on the Florida State Seminoles in their first game of the season. Why don't you kick us off and tell us what you think?
Yeah, so, Sean hit the nail on the head. They start off the season, and they, being Notre Dame, start off the season on the road, at Doak Campbell Stadium. And, like Sean said, Bobby Bowden passed away, so this is going to be a very charged game. Florida State, talent-wise, is a lot better than people give them credit for. They've been in last 5 years, I do believe, top 25 for recruiting. So, I mean, this is a program that brings in a bunch of talent. So, can't take them lightly, but I feel like Notre Dame's on a higher level than Florida State. So, I say 35-14, Notre Dame gets that first victory behind enemy lines in Tallahassee.
And myself, I don't really have any specific score predictions, but I did do the best research that I could before this game before this video to give you guys a good idea of what I think. Just to break down the Seminoles real quick, and you could say this about any game and any team. The game always starts in the trenches, and in addition to that, I want to start off by saying this. Notre Dame and Florida State have one key factor in common, and that is both have transfer quarterbacks. I mean, our starting quarterback, as we all know, is officially now Jack Cohn, who transferred to us from Wisconsin. But the Florida State Seminoles, they have Mackenzie Milton, who used to play for UCF, and he had, before he got hurt, he was on quite a tear for the Golden Knights. So you have him coming into Florida State. But a few key factors that I was reading up on the Seminoles, and this is where I think it's going to be a big difference. They only have, on their defense, they only have 5 returning starters. Their offensive line, from what I was reading, is a big-time mess. And I think that's definitely going to play a big key in this game for that Notre Dame pass rush. I mean, we've seen with what Marcus Freeman can do. He loves to rush the quarterback. He loves to put on the pressure. Now, we still have some question marks with our offensive line and who our go-to guys in the receiving game is going to be. But we really have to see these guys in action. But the way I see it as it stands right now, we still have a lot more pieces in place than what Florida State does. So I'm going to say in this game, based on that alone, and not underestimating Florida State, things could be gradually different come Sunday night, the night before Labor Day. But as it stands right now, I'm going to say Notre Dame 35, Florida State 10.
Yeah, so about on the same page as me. So yeah.
All right, so real quick, Ben, after that first game breakdown, let's go ahead and hear this message from our sponsor.
Henry, will you please see what those boys are up to?
Introducing WWF Wrestling Buddies. Wrestling Buddies from Tonka. Funk 'em, bop 'em. Wrestling Buddies are looking for action.
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Nothing, Dad.
Drop kick!
Who do you think you are?
That's Hulk Hogan!
Wrestling Buddies want to be your buddy.
Henry, what's going on up there?
Nothing, dear.
WWF Wrestling Buddies, new from Tonka.
Yeah, the next visit to your house.
Ben, did you ever have a wrestling buddy?
Oh gosh, I can't remember if I did. I probably did. Gosh, it's been so long.
I did, but mine was made because my parents couldn't afford one.
Yeah.
So my grandmother actually made me a wrestling buddy out of a pillow, and I gotta say she did a pretty damn good job on it. I wish I still had it, but it ended up getting ruined. But those things were a lot of fun. So come on, sponsor, please come through.
Yeah.
All right, getting right back to business. Let's go to game number 2 on the schedule, which the Irish come home for their first home game to take on the Toledo Rockets. Now, we've seen this a lot with the Irish scheduling as of late, where they try to get at least one MAC team on there. And I will say this, for a little while, the Toledo Rockets, they had a pretty nice offense there for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, they sure did. They were pretty impressive, for a smaller MAC school, or a smaller school that belonged to the MAC, I should say.
Well, to really break this game down, I mean, it's a MAC team. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk there, but when have MAC teams really made that big of an impact for the most part? I mean, yeah, we've seen them make major bowl games, but we see what happens in those major bowl games when they get there. But I digress. I just want to keep it to Toledo. Now they only played 6 games in the MAC last year, and they did pretty well on that shortened season, 4-2. And the big thing here for Toledo that I'm reading is they return 20 out of their 22 starters. So they are going to be well established on both sides of the ball. They're hands down their key player is running back Bryant Koback, who in 2,626 yards in his first 3 seasons for the Toledo Rockets. But you know something? As good of a player as he is, I don't see the Irish having any problems winning this game. They just have way too much firepower. They might have some rust still coming into that second game, but they're at home. I don't see them having any problems. I'm going to say Notre Dame 42, Toledo 17.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of by the same thought process, except I say, Notre Dame just steamrolls them, and it's a 56-0 victory for Notre Dame. So,
I would love that.
yeah, Notre Dame gets their first shutout of the season, and that is against the Toledo Rockets in the home opener. So, yeah.
All right, the third game of the season. I know this is one that you and I are very excited about.
Yeah.
The Irish stay at home to take on, for the first time in, I believe, 7 years, an old rival, the Purdue Boilermakers.
Yep.
Now, Ben, how excited are you about going to your first ever game?
Oh, I'm pretty dang excited. Not gonna lie.
Then
got a countdown on the phone, wondering what I'm gonna wear and all that. So yeah, no, I'm stoked.
You sound like a girl for prom night.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, what am I gonna wear? Just don't put on any makeup though, okay?
Yeah, okay.
But you start us off with this game.
Like Sean said, 7 years is in the college football world, quite a long time for rivals to be apart. Purdue's kind of had an up and down couple years, so I don't think Notre Dame has too much trouble with them. There is the rivalry aspect that you always got to take into consideration and respect a rival. So, I mean, it could be closer than we predict, but I say Notre Dame wins 42-17.
I like that prediction. And, looking up what I can about Purdue, I mean, obviously, just like the MAC, the Big Ten only played a 6-game regular season last year, which, you got a team like Ohio State who showed that really doesn't matter. But one stat that stands out to me is in those 4 losses, Purdue lost those games by 3, 7, 7, and 10 points respectively. So it looked like that they put up a pretty good battle against the schedule that they did play. They have 2 guys they're going to be going up against. Wide receiver David Bell. That secondary is going to have to really shut down. Defensive end George, how do you say this last name? Karlaftis. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. So they have a couple of stud playmakers that I think that they're really going to need to really keep an eye on. And Purdue is a big question mark, like a lot of other teams. So, but considering the fact that this is at home, and on top of that, it's a rivalry, I see Notre Dame winning this game 38-20.
I like it. I dig it.
So they're not getting too close just yet.
Yeah.
So the number 4 game on the schedule is let's see. I think that's Chicago for the Shamrock series against Wisconsin.
Yep.
So, Wisconsin Badgers, this is our first time playing them since I believe 1960. That is a long time. This is big storylines for obvious reasons. Jack Cohn being being the transfer quarterback, he started for Wisconsin before getting hurt. Then Graham Martz came in and took his place, and so we're gonna see Jack Cohn going up against his old team. And the one thing that I can tell you guys about Wisconsin from watching them in recent years, I have been to a game up at Camp Randall, and it is a pretty fun environment. But Wisconsin has always been known for their very, very tough defense, very gritty, very tough in the trenches, puts on the pressure. Offensively, a lot of firepower, a lot of shotgun, but at the same time, a lot of ground and pound as well.
Yep.
This one is going to be the first game of the season that really tests Notre Dame. It's going to be close. It's going to be a hard-fought game, and honestly, I could really see this being a teeter-totter affair, but I can see the Irish winning this game 27-20. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, giving Wisconsin some credit, huh? Well,
it's a big game for them.
Back-to-back Big Ten opponents. Purdue and Wisconsin, neutral field site. It's basically a home game for Notre Dame. I mean, Chicago's a hop, skip, and a jump from South Bend, and then of course the Cohen factor and all that. But I think Notre Dame is a cut above or a step above, if you will, Wisconsin. So I don't think this game is as close as people think it will be. Wisconsin's had some good seasons in recent years, but they're kind of on the downward trend as opposed to the upward trend. So I feel like Notre Dame wins 42-10 in this game.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
we are.
Notre Dame's a step above, in my opinion. And Notre Dame has done a lot of work to get to where they're at. So I don't think Notre Dame has any trouble with Wisconsin.
Well, if that game's not close, this one definitely will be. After that, the Irish return home to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, a lot of big storylines in this one as well. You have Brian Kelly, who came to us from Cincinnati back in 2009. We just hired on Marcus Freeman, who was Cincinnati's defensive coordinator and future head coach, in my opinion. So, yeah, two key coaches on Notre Dame staff going up against their former team. Now, to start with the Bearcats, 9-1 last season. Luke Fickell, their head coach, they with the Bearcats, a very consistent team all around. This is hands down. This is going to be a top 10 showdown when it comes to this time, assuming that we're right on our projection so far. I think this is a Cincinnati team that's going to cause a lot of problems for us that we're really going to have to. We're going to have to turn up the juice that week for practice. I forget. Do you remember what Cincinnati's quarterback, what his name was?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, all I know is from what I was reading is he's looking to be a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft. Let me look it up real quick. It was off the tip of my tongue. Desmond Ridder, Ridder.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder. Right, it could be Ryder. I don't know, but I think it's pronounced Ridder to be correct. You got a Cincinnati Bearcat team with a real tough defense, a very, very good offense. This one is, if Wisconsin wasn't going to be, this one definitely will be the showdown. It's going to be close, but Notre Dame is very capable of winning this game. Marcus Freeman will know how to take apart that defense. So having him on the staff really helps. But I still could see this one being a very close game and kind of a high-scoring affair as well. So I'm going to say Notre Dame 35, Cincinnati 28.
Interesting prediction. Well, like you said, there's two major connections between the head coach and the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. But to me, Cincinnati has taken a step backwards, and one of the big step backwards is that they have taken is the fact that they lost Freeman to University of Notre Dame. He really made that team as good as they are. I mean, Luke Fickell gets a lot of credit too, coming over from Ohio State. And Freeman and Luke Fickell both have ties to Ohio State. So, those Ohio State sure knows how to put out some good coaches. But digressing, I don't think Notre Dame will struggle as badly with Cincinnati as teams did last year due to the NFL draft, and Cincinnati losing some players and the coach losing Marcus Freeman. So I say Notre Dame 35, Cincinnati 21. So
okay.
Touchdown game for Notre Dame.
All right, I like it. That's very fair. So the next game after that, the Irish hit the road to Blacksburg yet again to take on the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, Lane Stadium, that always a hard place for any team to play in. Never easy. It's a ruckus crowd. They always have the stripes just right there in the stands.
Yeah.
But you know something, the Irish came in there a couple of years ago, back in 2018, and they took care of business against the Hokies. I mean, it was close. It was close for like the first three quarters, but then the Irish found a way to break away in that home stretch there, and ended up winning it by, I think, 17 or 20 points, I believe. I forget the score. But this isn't that same Hokie team as 2018. I mean, yeah, they return a lot of starters. They do have a very nice receiving core, but they're still trying to kid's little ruckus there.
Yeah.
But this is a team that's still trying to find its identity and put things, together all the way. So the crowd is definitely going to play a factor. I mean, we last played the Hokies in general in 2019 and had that thrilling finish with the Ian Book touchdown at the end. Hokies are 19-18 the last 3 years, so that kind of shows you where they've been as a team. That team that's just waiting to break out but hasn't gotten there just yet. I'm not saying this is going to be an easy matchup for Notre Dame, but I think they're definitely going to win this game. And my final score prediction is going to be Notre Dame 38, Virginia Tech 15. I think they get a couple of touchdowns, and they do get a 2-point conversion on one of them.
Yeah. Okay. I dig it. Yeah. Lane Stadium's a tough place to play. But Notre Dame showed last time they played them that, they are not afraid of that hostile environment. Virginia Tech gets a lot of credit for their fan base, saying that it's an actual school that has no championships among any of its teams. Very few places can say that. Mississippi State just finally got their first ever national title to take themselves off the list of three teams that was Mississippi State, Virginia Tech, and Kansas State. So kudos to Virginia Tech's rabid fan base. But Notre Dame, once again, is a step above, and Notre Dame wins, to me, 45-17 in this game.
Yeah. Regardless, this has trap game written all over it for sure, but I think we'll be ready. Now, the next game on the schedule, and do I really need to say how big this one is? The Irish come back home to take on the USC Trojans. And oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down one of the biggest rivalries in college football. This is I got to say, this is a Trojan team that does scare me a little bit because they have gradually gotten better. I mean, we've been handling them for the last several meetings now, the last several years. I mean, obviously we didn't play them last year because of COVID. But this is a team that has gradually gotten better. They went 5-1 last year in the Pac-12. It was a shortened season, of course, just like the Big Ten and the MAC and so on. But you're going to be going up against another potential first round quarterback in Kedon Slovis, who has his battery mate in receiver Drake London. So this is a USC team that's starting to find their firepower again on offense. Defense, I'm not exactly sure where they're at as far as returning starters go, but I still think this is going to be a well-prepared team for when they come to South Bend. And I can see this being kind of like what I said with Wisconsin, where it stays close, but Notre Dame pulls away. So in this game, I'm going to say Notre Dame wins it 28-20.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, this is, in a lot of people's mind, the biggest rival of Notre Dame in Southern Cal. And like you said, Southern Cal is really starting to find their firepower again. So I think this is the matchup for Notre Dame. This is the team that Notre Dame should be the most leery of, even if it is a home game. So I think that Notre Dame wins 35-28 in this game. That's what I think. Southern Cal will come out firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. So victory nonetheless, but a close one, and the closest one that I've predicted so far.
All right, and the trend continues on this schedule. This is hands down the toughest stretch of the schedule because after hosting the Trojans, we then come back home to take on head coach Mac Brown and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, this is a team that's played us pretty tough the last few times. We played them last year, beat them 31-17 in the same kind of situation, a trap game galore. Now, this is in my opinion, this is a North Carolina team that will be pretty good. I mean, their quarterback, yet again, another potential first-round pick in the NFL draft next year, Sam Howell. You have him coming back. You lost a pair of 1,000-yard rushers from a year ago. So you lost some firepower on your offense. But this is a North Carolina team that's going to be hungry to try to make a point, and they're going to want to play spoiler for us like every team does when they play Notre Dame. So I think that the Tar Heels will come in prepared. They will play well, but I can see us pulling away in this game. Not necessarily saying it's going to be easy, but we should be very well prepared for this team. It's under the lights. It's prime time, baby. Under the lights is where you want to be. So I'm going to say in this game, Notre Dame wins it 40-14.
Like it. I love it. Yeah, North Carolina has gotten themselves into a good place being a football team in a basketball hotbed that is North Carolina, and not only a basketball hotbed that is the state of North Carolina, but a basketball juggernaut that is the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. But North Carolina is not on Notre Dame's level, in my opinion. So this is a 45-14 victory for the Fighting Irish in this one.
All right, we're pretty well on the same boat with that one. It's nothing against the Tar Heels. It's just I'm not necessarily saying they're overrated, but I'm not going to say that they're a top 5 team either, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
All right, so the next game after the Tar Heels, I'm not going to say things get a little easier, but they kind of get out of the trap game realm. We stay at home to take on the Navy Midshipmen. Now, this game is a simple one to call for me. I've been saying it on my own for many years before you and I joined forces, Ben. I mean, previewing this game has always taken me less than 3 minutes in a video. It's very simple. We know what to expect. Navy and head coach Ken Niumatalolo, they're going to bring the triple option offense. That has really, that really hurt us in the early tenure of Brian Kelly. And it kind of actually hurt us too at the end of the Charlie Weiss era, because Navy finally got us in 2007 after 35 some odd years or whatever it was. Yeah. And then there were games after that where they just completely dominated, and that sucked to see. We really were having a hard time with that triple option. And the reason for that is because Ken Niumatalolo has a special game plan or a package, whatever, that is just for Notre Dame that you're not going to see against any other opponents.
Right.
And it could be anything. It could be a special offense. It could be a blocking scheme, which I see that a lot. Navy usually goes for the legs when their offensive line blocks. And I mean, with all the concerns of headshots, I mean, can you blame them? No, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Notre Dame has gotten I think their defense has really gotten the triple option figured out. They know how to counter it. The last time we beat them, it was 52-20, and I could see that being a similar score this time around, because we're going to be ready for the Navy Midshipmen. I'm going to say the Irish win it 55-17.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, the biggest thing with Navy is just when they run that triple option, they eat up a lot of clock, so you really have to strike hard and strike fast against Navy, because once they get that ball back, it's back to ground and pound and just eating and chewing that clock up as much as they can. But with that being said, I think that Notre Dame wins this one 49-0, gets their second, Fighting Irish get their second shutout of the season, and the first one being Toledo on my side of the schedule. But yeah, I mean, Navy, like you said, they always bust out a special playbook for the Fighting Irish. They have a lot of respect for the Irish, and that's why they do that. And the chop blocks, if you will, are because they're just undersized. I mean, it's a military academy. They're not recruiting guys the way that other teams recruit.
They have a weight limit to maintain.
Yeah. So you got to take full advantage of what you can take full advantage of, and that is what they do. So, yep, my prediction 49-0. Notre Dame wins that game.
Oh, another goose egg, huh? I like it.
Yep.
So moving right along, the game after that, the Irish head back to the Commonwealth of Virginia to take on Bronco Mendenhall and the Virginia Cavaliers. And this is another team that we're familiar with. We played them last year, beat them 35-20 at home last year. I'm sorry, in 2019, my bad. This is another team that's, in the middle of the road trying to put things together, but they have a good piece in quarterback Brennan Armstrong, a dangerous dual threat quarterback. I mean, in 2020, he passed for over 2,100 yards and over 550 yards on the ground. So very, very deep, dangerous quarterback. He has 4 returning offensive linemen to protect him, and they have 7 returning starters on that defense as well. So this is a team that I think is going to get really better, but I still see Notre Dame being obviously the better of these two teams. They get it done in the trenches. They put it together offensively. Jack Cohn at this point is starting to find his groove and his connection with his receivers. Tyree and Kyron Williams are tearing it up. I'm going to say Notre Dame wins this game 45 in a very similar score to the last meeting. 45-24.
I dig it. I totally dig it. Yeah. Another road game back, as you said, to the state of Virginia, but this isn't going to be the last second Deshaun Kaiser pass to Will Fuller to win the game. This is going to be a complete and utter domination of the Irish to the Cavaliers. And I say a 49-10 victory for Notre Dame in this game. Virginia will get that touchdown in garbage time when Notre Dame's got their backups playing and preventing injuries and all that. But Jack Cohen and this high-powered offense are just gonna torch the Virginia Cavaliers.
All right, I like it. On the same book with that one as well. Then after that, the Irish come back home for Senior Day to take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, obviously, the one thing that has really changed with Georgia Tech is they no longer run the triple option offense either. They've gone to a pro style offense. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that.
Okay, and this is a game that doesn't really, I'm not trying to disrespect the Yellow Jackets here, but this is not a game that scares me too much. I mean, they were 3-7 last year. We took care of business against them 31-13 last year in our only season in the ACC conference. I mean, they have some things that are up and coming, but they're still trying to figure things out with this program. The only good thing they have going for it right now is up and coming quarterback Jeff Sims and running back Jahmyr Gibbs, which from what it looks like they have a lot of promise and potential, but they just they're missing. They lost a lot. They have a lot of fresh faces that are pretty raw. So I'm going to say Notre Dame wins this one by a final score of 42-10. We send the seniors out with a bang.
Sweet. Yep. Yeah, I dig it. As you said, this is a team that's rebuilding. They have a lot of potential to become a better team than they have been, but they're rebuilding. And it may, very well be that Georgia Tech's on the up and up, but it's late. Pardon me. It's late in the season. It's Senior Day. You're starting to feel that cold chill in the air that is South Bend. So Notre Dame just overwhelms the Yellow Jackets. They wreck the Rambling Wreck, and they totally take care of business. And it is a 52-7 victory for the Fighting Irish.
I love it. I love it, man. Now we get to the The grand finale of the 2021 regular season, Thanksgiving weekend, the Irish head out to Stanford to take on the Stanford Cardinal. Now, this game, you could say it's kind of a trap game, but last time we played them, we took care of business 45-24. David Shaw is back as their head coach. And last year in the shortened season for the Pac-12, this is a team that made some strides. They went 4-2. They seem to be doing pretty well on most facets of the game. But from what I'm reading, for them coming into the season is they're having a real struggle with the quarterback spot. You have it's the battles between Tanner McKee and Jack West. And I haven't read anything yet. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if they've named a starting quarterback yet, but it seemed like they were both struggling in camp. No one's really sure what to expect. I mean, the only sure thing is their running back, that Austin Jones. So this is a team that does have some firepower in the running game and the receiving game. But I still like our chance. I still like our chances of winning this game pretty well. But I'm not going to necessarily say it's a blowout. I think the Irish will win it 27-10 because I think their defense will be a little better than expected.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the absolute biggest storyline is the fact that both Notre Dame and Stanford will have a player in this game that is in their 6th year, which is just absolutely crazy. For Stanford, it's Jordan Fox. He's an outside linebacker, and he's in his 6th year for Stanford. And due to COVID and the way that the NCAA has made it, you get an extra year of eligibility. So these guys are taking full advantage. With that being said, though, although this is behind enemy lines and, Stanford has been a tough team in recent years, especially for Notre Dame and all that, Notre Dame still wins this game. I think this one's a lot closer just due to the fact that it is behind enemy lines. So I say 35-21. Notre Dame win, finish the season undefeated, a perfect 12-0, and head to the college football playoffs.
I like it very much, and I know there's a lot of people watching this thinking, oh, you guys are just homers. Well, yes, of course we're homers. We've made that clear since day one, but we know that I just want to finish real quick, Ben. I just want to say we know that whatever happens, happens. And if we're completely wrong, then hey, we're wrong. We'll come out and say that we were wrong.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me with this schedule of Notre Dame's is there really is no legit threat on this schedule to Notre Dame. I mean, if you look in recent memory in the last few years of teams that Notre Dame has lost to, it is Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. All teams that have made the college football playoff, all teams that have played in a national championship in the last 10 years, and all teams that have showed why they are so good. So I don't really see any of that. There is no Clemson. There is no Georgia. There is no Alabama on the schedule yet. But with that being said, that is why I think Notre Dame goes undefeated. Now, could there be a hiccup? Of course. Notre Dame has shown in recent years that games that they should be dominating, they struggle in for whatever reason. But Notre Dame gets it done this coming year, and goes undefeated. And we will see where it takes them.
Yeah, and I hope this is the year that they can put it together, and at the very least, win one game, win a semifinal game at the very least. But of course, as a fan, I want to go all the way, absolutely. And look, I see what you're saying there, Ben. You're not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean either to these teams on our schedule. No. I mean, you got that stretch of we got 4 games that are against top 15 opponents. That being Wisconsin, North Carolina, USC, Cincinnati. These are very good football teams, but I'm just saying basically what you're saying is this, and I think we both agree here, there's a world of difference between a Cincinnati and an Alabama.
Yes. And the other big thing for Notre Dame this year that's a very favorable in their cards is the fact that all their big name games are at home. You have North Carolina at home. You have Southern Cal at home. You have Cincinnati at home. And, yeah, it's a neutral field site for Wisconsin, but it's Notre Dame's second home in Chicago. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm basing myself off of. And like I said, we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
And of course, everyone, we will be doing individual game previews and recaps during the season. But the bottom line is 2 weeks away, we get Notre Dame football. The summer just flew by.
Yeah.
It just flew by, man.
And to add to your point about doing week to week or week by week previews and recaps, we have more to go off of those weeks. We don't have much to go off of even when we do our legit preview for Florida State. We have camp and fall ball. That's all we really got. But after that first week, we know what, quote unquote, Cincinnati is capable of. We know what Southern Cal is capable of. We got statistics to go off of and situations and injuries and all that. Because, same with Notre Dame. If we lose Jack Cohn, where are we at? If we lose Jack Cohn and Tyler Buckner, where are we at? If we lose, on and on and on and on and on. So we have more to go off of in our actual week by week previews and recaps.
Well, Drew Pine is definitely the number 2 as quarterback.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So, like I said, we will see. And like I said, we have nothing to go off of. This is just all.
We're talking about our team here. We're talking about our boys. What we
hypothetical, what we're looking to see, what we're hoping, all that. And that's all anybody can do. Everybody's putting out these previews, these season previews, Alabama, Oklahoma, you name it, are doing this. And they have nothing to go off of except what they see. And what we see is a very good Notre Dame team that's looking to take a step forward offense-wise.
But of course, I expect to get plenty of comments saying, you guys are just homers, but then you find out they didn't watch all the video. So they didn't see what we're talking about now.
But to be very honest, Homer.
Yeah.
Homer.
We are homers, but we're going to discuss what actually happens too. So, but I think we made that clear. Ben, is there anything else you would like to add to this video?
I got nothing. It's been pretty awesome.
Yes, I've loved talking about it. The season is here, or about to be here. It's getting really exciting. You can feel it in the weather too, that it's almost here.
Yes.
So, all right, everyone. Well, with that said, thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for supporting the pump up video, and make sure you spread that around. And if you like what you've seen here, as you always say, Ben, smash that subscribe button.
Yep.
We need those subscribers.
Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Make sure you click that little bell icon that is right below and right next to the subscribe button so you never miss a video. You get direct notification when we go live, when we've uploaded a new video, and when we sneeze. No, I'm just kidding about the sneeze part. But you get notifications about us, so you're always in the know. And that is what we wish to bring to you.
Exactly. And on that note, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And as we always say, God bless, good night, and go Irish.
Go Irish. Beat Florida State.